stirring the porridge, I think of Miss Rymer's grave. She's past her century if she's not in it. She wrote on my homework, I wish I'd written this. Keep stirring, don't stop, my mother said. Some praise, some advice stays with you. Keep stirring, or life goes lumpy and it sticks. Now, I'm going to go on to the nearest I get to environmental poetry. I don't get very near it at all, but this is called The Sun's Mythology. The sun is not a person. The sun does not remember its past, does not mourn its future as a shrunken dwarf, does not care for its planets or their inhabitants, though in some sense it probably is their parent. The sun does not worry about what other stars may think as it runs a path through the teeming universe. The sun is not a god. The sun does not have obligations or responsibilities or guilt or pain. The sun is not pleased, nor grateful, nor joyful, nor sad, nor puzzled, nor vicious, nor vengeful. The sun is a ball of burning gas. The sun does not put its hat on. The sun does not come out to play. Now, this poem is, I've got a lot of female relatives that tend to give advice. So this is about Auntie, and it's called Goes Without Saying. Auntie was a master of the pregnant pause. She punctuated tales with verbal brackets, virtual ellipses, left utterances hanging like plates in a circus act. Would they fall? Would her completion of them come too late? Would the listener pick up the ball and run with it, finish off the sentence where it lay, half dead? But almost always, stunned by a glimpse from Auntie's spectacles, her hearers waited in the heavy silence, and she gunned down all resistance, and triumphantly delivered the anticipated cliché. Have you ever wondered, changing the subject again, have you ever wondered what happens in libraries when the librarian's gone home? What happens when all those books are left to themselves? This is called the library at night. The library was closed. "Let's party!" shouted music. "Raise your hands nice and slow," growled crime fiction. Sci-fi retreated behind the computers to the fifth dimension. "I'm all right, you're all right," soothed self-help. Travel and tourism relaxed, got out their holiday snaps. Cooking invited everyone to dinner. DIY started making a three-piece suite. But a row had broken out between history and political science about the causes of the latest war in the Balkans. Philosophy had gone into a corner to puzzle over its own existence, and technology had fused the lights. Art was posing as performance, stepping on drama's toes, till drama exited, pursued by a bear. Poetry was gazing up at a nightingale on ornithology's shelf, and considering composing an ode. Romantic fiction was just long to be taken out. I'm going to go back to my youth, really, my mother's advice, my mother's ideas, and this is about retirement plans. "When I grow old," said my mother, "I'll change my life. I'll rent a garret on the left bank of the Seine in Paris, give up being a mother and a wife, spend my days painting, drink red wine all night. My friends will be artists. Maybe I'll write." "But what about Dad?" I objected. My mother reflected. "He'll be okay," she said. "He'll buy a jalaba, sandals, a scarab, and live in the desert along with the Arabs. He's learning doing the lingo at evening class. He'll go over to Egypt. I thought, what a gas. I'll spend April in Paris, winter with Dad. There was going to be some fun to be had. I hoped that my parents' dreams all would come true, but after all that, they just moved down to Bute. Here is the nearest I get to a political poem. There is a lot of politics about at the moment. I really got to do a political poem. I'm also a painter. So this is where my mind went when I thought about MPs. My easel is standing for Parliament. It has borrowed a deposit from me and written its manifesto. It promises to represent all artistic movements equally. It promises uncompromising support for paintings of all kinds, of whatever colour or dimension, whether metric or imperial. My easel has been out canvassing. There have been some embarrassing brushes with the digital media who tried to frame my easel as outdated, too slow for the speed of modern production. My easel has countered such critics by demonstrating its adaptability and its telescopic legs. My easel has been elected. It has gone to London. I have to answer the constituents' letters and calls. I have no time for painting and no easel. My sketchbooks are demanding to be paid as my assistants. I am unpaid. My easel claims my salary as expenses. My easel is in the paper again. It has been fraudulently claiming studio expenses. The neo-cubists are calling my easel two-faced. Students have been rioting against my easel's policies, demanding the abolition of VAT on oil paint and the urgent reduction of waiting times for Royal Academy submissions. The pressure has become too much. My easel has stood down as an MP. It has retired to the EU. I shall go with it to paint landscapes like Van Gogh and Gauguin and help it to write its memoirs. Now, as you see, I'm married. I've always believed in marriage. I haven't always believed in divorce, though, and this poem is called How to Avoid Divorce. I've been a true and faithful wife to every husband that I've had. I've promised to devote my life through thick and thin, through good and bad, but only while this rule applies, what I decide shall be, shall be. And there a problem lies. When Johnny led me up the aisle and with a manly, loving smile agreed that he would have and hold me, I loved him then. But they never told me I'd have to iron 8 shirts a week. And when I ventured, could we speak about this imposition on my valuable time, dear John insisted this was what he'd meant when opting for the sacrament. As a blunt instrument, the iron was great. John's status quickly changed to late. My second love was handsome Dave. Before we married, he would rave about the cute and charming way I spent our weekends. How I lay in bed, expecting cups of tea and tasty meals to come to me. When we'd passed our honeymoon, I found that Dave had changed his tune. Get up, he said, and get me bacon, eggs, and toast. Come on, you do have legs. I went downstairs, I laid a tray. I brought Dave's last meal up that day. I even brought an appetizer, grapefruit, laced with fertilizer. Sliced thinly, chopped and barbecued, he flushed quite neatly down the loo. My third attempt at wedded bliss began so well. We loved to kiss and cuddle at all times of day, and let no chores stand in our way. His name was Lee, a gorgeous man. But soon I noticed he began to nag me, to pick up my clothes where I had dropped them, held his nose, and told me, "This house is disgusting. Don't you ever do the dusting?" I got a broom I hit him hard. He's buried out there in the yard. And on the list I tried and tried. Again I made a blushing bride, but number 4 is pushing daisies. Gardening, the man was crazy. And when it came to number 5, his weakness showed up on a drive. When I went through red traffic lights, he rudely said, "That wasn't right." While he checked underneath the bonnet, I found the accelerator, stepped on it, and drove him into paradise. I know it wasn't nice. So now I'm in an awful fix. I need to find mate number 6. I think perhaps a poet will be what I need, for would I kill a man who sings and rhymes to me? But one proviso, he must be my greatest fan.
Love your stuff.
He must criticise my writing, or my sharp pen between his eyes will send him up to husband heaven, and then I'll have to look for number 7. And finally, something a little, well, it's not serious, it's just a thought. How to make a dress out of silence. Take a yard of the quiet of a dawn before the birds wake. You use the sudden hush before a truth is spoken, and the breathless pause in the eye of a storm to create a template for your bodice. Be sure to calculate the volume of air held in place by the lungs alveoli, so that it stretches easily across the depth and breadth of your chest. Cut out the skirt from a length of the boundless, soundless vacuum of space. Now, thread a hiatus with a sense of absence, and sew into one piece. Try on the dress. Listen